Why do people like to ruin their first dates by talking about their exes? I'm Jimmy Rance, and I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. For the life of me, I can't understand why people who go on a date, they first meet or whatever, and what do? You get to say like maybe the dinner table, you're in a nice restaurant, candles going, the wine, the whole bit. You're trying to have a nice date. You're trying to. But blabbermouth across the table is doing nothing but talking about their exes. Who wants to hear that crap, man? Because in most cases, and this goes both ways, guys, look, when you go on a date, that first date or whatever, you meet that potential prospect of maybe your future spouse, maybe, who knows, if that's what you're after. You're going to sit there and tell her about your ex-girlfriends or your ex-wife? Why? Chances are both of you, maybe, are coming out of a bad relationship. So what do? You start talking and start throwing all your dirty clothes out there on the table, which is just totally depressing. That would drive me insane. You want to lose me real quick? We're on a date. Start talking about your exes. Because you know what I'm going to probably do? And I know this will come out the wrong way. But I'm probably going to throw a few bucks on the table, or I'm going to make a quick phone call and call an Uber and have your ass driven back to your house. Whenever I go out on a date, I want it to be between you and I. Begin with some fresh conversation. I think people should talk about themselves, but you don't have to go in and talk about your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your wife or whatever. That's not smart. I don't know. Who does that? Well, I guess a lot of people do, because I've heard a lot online. Sometimes I watch some of these shows about first dates and stuff, and that's one of the biggest killers of a date, where you'll never get a second date, is by talking about your ex-spouse. It's not the right thing to do. It's not cool. I don't think it's very mature. And it shows that you have a lack of imagination. It's like you can't talk about anything else. Out of all the things to talk about in the whole world, you got to go talk about your ex. Do you know how boring that is? I'm sitting here at the table and I'm probably dropping $200-300 on a wonderful, nice, fancy meal. Like I said, because I want it to be nice. If we go to some place that's 5-star, let's say, well, you kind of dress up a little bit. You don't wear suspenders, with a corncob pipe hanging out your mouth with a straw hat on, with a banjo. Talk about something that's very interesting maybe to her. And if you can see that whatever you're saying to her is not interesting, back off. Go in another direction if you're really interested in this person. Now, if you want to lose somebody, yeah, talk about the ex. There may be some gal or guy out there and they've been hounding you for a date, and you didn't really want to go on this date to begin with. And so you want to put a plan together so they'll never ask you out again. Start talking about your ex. Because I'm telling you something, there ain't nothing more boring to do that. And I don't understand why people do that. I have not, and I've said this before, I have not been in the dating scene in decades. Not really. Well, over a decade. And I never talked about my ex, I'll tell you that. That's the last thing I want to talk about. So if I go out with somebody today, in the future, I'm nowhere near ready to do that. I'm still trying to grieve over my wife who passed away. And here I am going to get ready to go out on a date. What am I going to do? Go out there and talk about how I went to the hospital and 4 days later my wife died? Who wants to hear that crap, I'm sure my date doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Again, I'm 72 years old. When I was young and we used to date, man, we used to go out like to dinner. We would go dancing, or we'd go to a movie or go to a drive-in. We actually had fun. You know what I mean? We didn't sit around talking about our girlfriends And my girlfriend didn't talk about her boyfriends. We didn't do that. Our interest was in each other, about what's going on in your current life. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. Share something with me. Give me an idea that you're a good catch. And I'll do the same thing. I'll talk to you about things that I hope that you will enjoy hearing. Not lies, but the truth. That's another subject for another day. Well, look, I'm going to get off here. I guess the bottom line to this thing is, folks, when you go out on a date or something, or you meet somebody, don't talk about your exes. That is so uncool. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But me, I don't want to hear it. I really, truly don't, man. Tell me something good. Tell me that, oh, Jimmy, your eyes are so cute. And I'll tell you something like, man, your eyes are beautiful. And the reason I wanted to take you out is just so I could look at your eyes all night long. But other than your eyes, let's talk about football. Ha, ha, ha. I'm Jimmy Rants.